Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Kohn. Janelle has the night off. Higher temperatures mean higher fire danger, and with triple digits now expected, fire authorities are on alert. In fact, the potential for wildfires now at the point that the Federal Northern Rockies Coordination Center has raised its preparedness level for the entire Treasure State. The Northern Rockies Center covers Montana, Idaho, and North Dakota. It coordinates the mobilization of wildland fire resources in those states and sometimes across the country. As of today, the center has raised its preparedness level to level 3. Now, those levels are designed to ensure that enough resources are available if needed. Across the Northern Rockies region, these levels are also derived from a two-tiered approach. The first question is what's occurring. This can include the fire's activity and what kind of teams and resources are available. The second is what could occur. That measures the fire's potential and the potential fire danger to surrounding communities. Western Montana feeling the heat as well. Missoula County has elevated its fire danger now to extreme. That means all fuels, both live and dead, have dried to the point that fires will become active very quickly. And stage 2 fire restrictions will go into place across west central Montana beginning at 12:01 Friday morning. That includes Missoula and Ravalli counties, Bitterroot and the Lolo National Forest, along with the Flathead Indian Reservation, Department of Natural Resource Lands, along with all Fish, Wildlife and Parks fishing access sites. And those restrictions mean no campfires, no open flames, no explosives, and no off-roading with motorized vehicles. Now, the largest fire burning in Montana right now is the Garden Creek Fire. It's burning north of Hot Springs, and it really has exploded in the last 24 hours. It grew over 1,300 acres from Tuesday and has now burned over 1,800 acres in all. This lightning-caused fire started on July 29th and currently is still just 5% contained. On the weather scene tonight, our chief forecaster Bob McGuire joins us now. Bob, it seems like every day as we look forward, the mercury just keeps going up and up and up.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to get into record territory. Let me show you what's going to happen. Here you go. The next 3 days are going to be crucial for us. 97 degrees tomorrow, 100 degrees on Friday, 102. We could top out at 102 on Saturday before the next cold front comes in. So what about records? Well, let me show you here at the Billings Airport. This is what we're forecasting for Friday, 100, but the record is 102, so probably no record there. But we could see the record in Livingston on Friday. That go to 100 degrees. Meanwhile, over at Miles City could be 102, no record there. And then in Sheridan, also no record there. Their record is 105. They probably won't come close. What about on Saturday, though? Saturday, Billings could break the record, 102. The old record is 100. Livingston could probably tie the record, but no record over at Miles City and or also at Sheridan. But it's going to be a very hot first half of the week, and then we'll roll it back a little bit on Sunday. We'll have more on that coming away in a few more minutes. Jay?
All right. Thank you, Bob. The hot, steamy weather now cause for concern for those whose livelihoods frequently fall victim to wildfire. Montana Ag Network meteorologist Elizabeth Copeland tonight shows us what some Big Sandy ranchers are doing to get prepared for fire season.
We watch the weather all the time.
IX Ranch Vice President Richard Roth knows fire danger from experience.
So yes, last year's fire that was just over the bear paws from us on the east side there, we were well aware of it. I knew the neighbors that were involved in that. What happens is you kind of want to call and make sure that you're in the right place at the right time.
Roth has his own employees trained up on fire prevention and firefighting skills.
We go through a fire training with them. We kind of show them the basics of how to fight fire and where to be.
And how to prepare.
We always tell them to have some clothes ready and kind of be ready for a change of doing ranch work to go to fireworks.
Having workers and equipment ready to go at a moment's notice.
Most all of us have our own units. So those are all prepared. They're usually parked in garages or, full of water, ready to go at a moment's notice.
To hopefully stamp out small fires before they get out of control. But he isn't alone.
In Big Sandy, when a fire comes about, the big siren in town goes off, and I can hear it out here just 5 miles from town. And so we're all kind of on alert, and we call our neighbors.
Who are more than willing to drop everything and protect their way of life.
Everyone just loves to help one another. It's an amazing thing in these small communities that volunteer, fires, neighbors, they all come together during these things.
In Big Sandy, Elizabeth Copeland, MTN News.
This time of year, lightning, of course, is a main concern, sparking new wildfires. But with the hot, dry conditions expected to persist at least for the rest of this week, We'll likely also see an increase in man-caused fires. In other news tonight, the Oregon man who faced off against a bison in Yellowstone National Park last week faced a judge in Wyoming federal court today and entered a plea of not guilty. 55-year-old Raymond Reinke of Pendleton, Oregon, now faces 5 charges that includes being under the influence of alcohol, endangering others, and disturbing wildlife. Reinke was arrested last week in Glacier Park after this video was shot earlier in the week in Yellowstone's Hayden Valley. This video then went viral on the internet. This incident in Yellowstone, just prior to that, Reinke had been arrested in Grand Teton National Park for drunk and disorderly conduct. Reinke is now scheduled to go to trial August 23rd. Federal magistrate Mark Carmen today revoked Reinke's bond from Grand Teton Park and ordered that he remain in jail until his trial. Actress Margot Kidder, better known to many as Lois Lane, passed away back in May at her home near Livingston, but until now it was unclear how she died. Now, today, the Park County coroner says Kidder committed suicide by a self-inflicted drug and alcohol overdose. Richard Wood, Park County's deputy coroner, says Kidder's family urging those who suffer from mental illness or addiction to seek counseling and treatment. Margot Kidder was 69 years old. The Billings School Board has a new trustee. The board unanimously appointed Brian Yates to fill the vacancy created by the recent resignation of trustee Joe Oravec. Yates is the director of operations for the Anderson Management Group. That group manages the Buffalo Wild Wing locations across Montana. And while he told the board members he doesn't have much experience in education, he said he is eager to learn and to serve the community. Yates says he hopes his experience with budget and management will help him in his new role on the board. School Board Chair Greta Bashmone tells Q2 she is grateful for Yates' willingness to volunteer and his eagerness to learn about and support School District 2. In the meantime, it's unclear still what will happen to a position on the high school board of trustees that's been held for Lockwood schools. That's because voters in Lockwood have now decided to form their own district. A final decision on the future of that trustee position in School District 2 is likely still a few months away. Montana's U.S. Senate race is getting most of the attention so far among statewide races this election year. But as MTN's Mike Dennison reports tonight, this fall's U.S. House race may be one to watch as the final months of this campaign plays out.
A Democrat hasn't won Montana's lone congressional seat in 24 years, and GOP Congressman Greg Gianforte is certainly the favorite to win re-election to a second term this year. But national prognosticators are saying now it's not necessarily a slam dunk for Gianforte, and local observers say they see indicators that Democratic challenger Kathleen Williams could make things interesting.
Kathleen Williams is fundraising well, which suggests that donors see her as potentially a very competitive candidate.
Williams raised $500,000 in the 7 weeks ending June 30th. Since her upset primary win in June, she's been traveling the state, talking up her record as a state lawmaker who worked across the aisle to get things done.
The key for Montanans, I think, is who can they trust and who can they trust to serve them as well as possible, and that's what we're going to put forth.
She's had ads only on the internet so far, including this spot with her German wire-haired pointer.
And she won't take treats from special interests.
Gianforte, however, hasn't been sitting on his hands. He had $1.4 million in his campaign account last month and is holding meetings across the state, like his field hearing this week in Hamilton on forest policy. His campaign says Gianforte will be emphasizing his support of President Trump and the Trump agenda of tax cuts, supporting the military, and strengthening U.S. borders. Williams, however, may have someone else she wants to emulate and run alongside. Democratic U.S. Senator John Tester.
Certainly, if Kathleen Williams can win many of the votes that Tester will get, then she can run a competitive race, and that's, that should be her goal. I think it's helpful for her to have Tester on the ballot.
Is that a winning strategy for Williams and the Democrats in this unusual year? The verdict is coming in just 90 short days. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Mike also tells us that Libertarian Eleanor Swanson of Billings is also competing in this year's Montana's U.S. House race. Coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, the state of Montana wants you to get out and explore all it has to offer. In a moment, we'll check out the state's latest campaign. And in sports tonight, Scott checks in with Rockies volleyball women. They open the season 1 week from today.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Kohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.